Let me guess. You want to raise your prices, but the people in your town or in your market, they only care about the cheap prices. So if you raise your prices, you'll be out of business, right? Let me share with you that I've coached a lot of HVAC companies. I've had companies in markets like Los Angeles, San Diego, New York, Pennsylvania, Chicago, these big, huge markets, and even companies that are really small markets with 20 to 30,000 people in them. And guess what? The number one biggest fear and concern, the first thing they say on every call is, my market won't accept high prices. So you're not alone when you think that. I thought it. I've been in business for 20 years, and I didn't raise my prices because I thought I can't charge those. It's a limiting belief. We all have it. It's not true. The truth of the matter is that's something that's in our heads. The reality is everyone will pay for more if they feel like they're going to get more. If you think about it, everyone has different clothes on. Some people have cheap clothes. Some people have slightly more expensive clothes. Some people have slightly more expensive furniture, more expensive cars. The reality is, if someone sees value, they'll pay more. Now, if you're in a market that's really small, you have 20,000 people in your whole town, your prices are not going to be like someone who's in Chicago or someone who's in Los Angeles. That's not a reality. So when you're in these Facebook groups and people are saying things like, well, you should charge this and you should charge this, you have to ignore that because your price will never match someone in a big city. What's not true is the limiting belief that if you're too expensive, people won't hire you. Your price may not be like the guy in LA or New York, but you can be more expensive than your competitors and still win work. It's okay. There are people in your town that will always choose the cheapest price. And there are going to be people in your town that will always choose the best value. It is what it is. People hire people that they trust. They hire people that they like. So if someone trusts you and they like you, they'll pay $20 more, $100 more, $300 more. Next time when you're on these jobs, get other quotes. If you quote against someone, start getting other quotes. If you lose a bid, call the customer. Ask them, why did you lose the bid? Be honest with them. Say, you're trying to get better. Do you mind if you tell me who you chose? And then ask them what the price was. I've done this and I found out that I've lost to higher priced people. These are the things that broke that limiting belief for me. When I started realizing that I was losing bids to people that were higher than me, that's when I started to learn that it's not about the price like I think. The truth is, I couldn't raise my prices because I perceived myself as a cheaper option. I thought, oh, well, those are the big companies that charge that amount. So because of who I thought I was projecting that, and people were perceiving me as a lower cost option. So when I tried to raise my prices, my whole thing was, hey, I'm a cheaper person. One person actually told me when I gave him a higher price, he said, if I'm going to pay that, then I might as well just pay the big company. And that was the window into what was happening. That's how I began to see that as, whoa, people perceive me as a lower priced option. So what I had to do was first break that mindset, that lie that I've heard coaching hundreds of companies across the U.S. in major markets, small markets, east, north, south, west, and everyone saying the same thing, well, my market can't do this, my market can't do this. I mean, this is the thing I have to overcome when I'm coaching companies. It's the first thing. Every single person says it because we believe it. But it's not true. It's a limiting belief. You can charge not only what you're worth. People always say charge what you're worth. It's not always charge what you're worth, but more like you have to charge what you need. And the way to charge what you need is to figure out how to show people that they need to pay that, right? So if you're more valuable, and you've seen it before, you've seen these guys that are undercutting jobs, not doing a good job. You've had to come behind companies before and fix things, and people have had to pay double. You know that. 9 times out of 10, your customer doesn't know that. If you can explain that to them and show that to them, then that justifies your highest price, right? And I'll give you an example. If you're talking to a customer and you give them a quote of $1,500 and someone told them they can do it for $500, you can still win that bid for $1,500 if you explain. First of all, what you need to do is you need to tell them why you're more, right? Tell them about how long you've been in business. and share the stories about how you've come behind companies. You don't have to trash anyone. You don't have to name anyone, but you can share all of the steps and processes that you do, that you've seen that other companies don't do, and how many times you've seen that people have to pay to get the job done twice or 3 times or 4 times. You can even mention that, hey, someone in your neighborhood, I've seen it. They hired a company cheaper and I had to come back and do this and this. When you explain that, you're informing people and you're helping people save their money by showing them that they're going to end up paying twice or 3 times or 4 times, right? So don't be shy in explaining why you're worth what you're worth. Of course, if you're walking around doing jobs as a plumber, an HVAC company, or an electrician, and you look like a lumberjack, you know, you see these guys, there's a tech and then a helper, or a crew, maybe 2 to 3 guys, and they're all dressed differently. They all have different stuff on. One guy has a Carhartt jacket on with a blue beanie. The other guy has a Nike jacket on, and he's got jeans on and boots, and then the other guy has sneakers. If you're doing that and you're all looking different, you're going to be the cheapest option because you pretty much look like handymen. You need to look like a licensed HVAC contractor. You need to look the part, right? Doctor comes in, clean, white lab coat, got his thing around his neck. He runs these little tests. He leaves. He comes back. He gives you a diagnosis. He explains it in a way that you understand. You trust more, right? So if we explain things, and believe it or not, when someone understands something, they trust the person that's explaining it more. That's a fact. It's just something about it. When you don't understand something, you don't trust. So find ways to explain things better. Speed is another way to get a higher price. You know that you have the parts on hand. You know that you're going to do the job right. You're going to do it the first time. You're not going to waste any time. There's not going to be a callback. Your customer is going to get heat within the next hour because you can get the part and you're going to get it done and you're going to finish it today. Mention those things. I'm known for telling people, hey, we don't play around in this company. We're going to go get the part. We're going to do it. We're going to be done in 2 hours. It's going to be done right. We're not going to reschedule you. We're not going to cancel you. Granted, we're $300 and the other company is $100, but you don't have to worry about this. You only have to take 3 hours off of work. You won't have to worry about having to take another day because we didn't show up. All of these things are signals, right? Your market can take a higher price. Like I said at the beginning of this video, your market may not take a price as high as a Chicago price or a Los Angeles price, but you can be higher than your competitors. I've seen it. I'm a living witness. I was charging so low and I thought, well, people are going to undercut me and then I've got bills to pay, and I was so fearful and I believed that lie. And when I hired a business coach, I told my business coach that same exact thing, and he challenged me in this same way. And what I did was, I was so tired of being broke, so tired of charging prices that didn't pay the bills, having cash flow problems when business got slow in the slow season, not having any money to pay myself or pay people. I was tired of it. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to test my market. And I started charging what I needed as a company. And guess what? Nobody has batted an eye. And it's been over a decade and no one has batted an eye. And to prove it, you probably have a high price leader in your market, charging more than you, getting more work than you. Isn't that funny that the bigger companies that charge a lot normally get more work? Why is that? It's because they're not stealing or cheating people like we tend to think. It's because they're charging what they need, and because they're charging what they need, they know that they have to give a better service. These companies are putting their booties on, they're vacuuming up, they're making sure they're offering more than what other companies are offering. They're giving free filters away for a couple dollars. They're changing light bulbs. They're not parking on the grass. All their technicians are background checked and everything, and they're letting customers know that. So they're offering more than what you're offering. So the next time you begin to think, well, I can't raise my prices because my market can't afford it, or my market isn't going to accept it, or go out of business, take that trash that's in your head and throw it in the trash where it belongs. It's not true. You can charge what you need. Go ahead, do it today, raise your prices today, start making a difference in your company, and go and change the world.